Hey everybody, I'm just on a little bit early for all you people that like to arrive a few minutes early. I know there are going to be people that arrive early and there are going to be others who like to arrive a few minutes late. So we're going to just hang out here and as you arrive, just type in the chat where you're coming in from and how you heard about this webinar. So maybe I'll play a little bit of music here, see if I can find some good music. So in the meantime, just write down where you're dialing in from and how you heard about this webinar. So again, we're going to be starting in a few minutes. So as you arrive, just type in where you're coming in from and how you heard about this webinar. We're going to be starting in a few minutes. So as you arrive, just type in the chat where you are coming in from and how you heard about this webinar. And let's add a little excitement to the mix here. What's the weather like where you are? It's been a rainy day here in Buffalo. We're going to get started in a few minutes. So just as you arrive, just type in the chat where you're calling in from and how you heard about this webinar. And then also, since it is the season of weather, type in what the weather is like where you are. We're going to be starting in just a minute. So as you arrive, just type in the chat where you're coming in from, how you heard about this webinar, and what's the weather like where you are. Okay, I have 7 o'clock, and I like to, anybody that's been in any workshops or any talks with me know you like that I like to start on time. So we're going to get going, and I want to welcome you all to this webinar. So thank you for attending. It's great to have you here, and it's such a privilege for me to have this opportunity to work with you for this next hour and 15 minutes. I'm Lynn Tranchel, and I want to thank you for attending today. And we're going to do some exercises. So you're going to want to have some paper to take notes. And if you happen to have a 3x5 card handy, that would come in useful. If not, you can always transfer the information to a 3x5 card a little bit later. So since this is a webinar, it's going to be easy to be distracted with things around you. So I encourage you to turn off your email notifications, put your phone on silent, and close the door if you can. And we're going to want to stay focused so that you can get the most out of this webinar. So a mother mouse was leading her 3 children through the house. Then all of a sudden they come upon around the corner and they see a cat. And the cat looks hungrily at the mice and starts slowly walking towards the mice, revealing its sharp teeth. The mother mouse, in an effort to protect her children, backs up, raises on her hind legs, and then says in as loud a voice as she can muster, "Roof, roof, roof." And the cat gets scared and runs away. So the mother mouse turns to her babies and says, "Now, children, never underestimate the power of learning more than one language." Now, there is a language of success that we are going to be looking at today. There's a language to creating the results you want. And once we consciously understand what this language is, we can apply it to any area in our life that we would love to improve. Now, how many of you have had a goal that you would love to achieve, or some area in your life that you would love to improve? Raise your hand and type yes in the chat if you have some part of your life that you want to improve. And if you're on the replay, raise your hand and say yes. And it may seem odd to you that I'm asking you to raise your hand on a webinar when I can't see you, but I encourage you to do it anyway. For this is sending a signal to the universe that you're paying attention, that you're an active participant, and that will change how you process all of this. So how many of you have ever achieved a goal or a dream in your life that when you first started that goal, you didn't have any idea of how you were going to achieve it? So if that is the case with you, raise your hand and type yes. And there is going to be a bit of a delay here. So I will be checking the chat, and as comments come in, I will set aside some time to answer any questions that you may have. So the fact that you have had a dream or a goal and you accomplished it without knowing how you are going to do just proves one thing, and that is that we are all capable of more than we know. So if you're ready to play full out, put your hand on your heart and say, "I'm in," and type in the chat box, "I'm in." I'll be checking the chat periodically, so feel free to ask any questions. I want to introduce myself to those of you who don't know me and how I got where I am. It was a number of years ago, and my mother was dying of cancer, and I had just ended a significant relationship. And I was feeling lost and frustrated and alone and just in this place of sadness. I'm sure there are many of you that can relate to that feeling also. And I knew I had to do something. I knew I had to do something to cause myself to think differently and act differently. So one of my core values is fun. So I decided to go hear a friend of mine sing. A friend of mine is a folk singer. So I went to hear her sing, and it just happened that where she was singing had a bookstore. And I noticed that many of the books that they were selling in this bookstore I had read. And I figured any place that sells books that I have read would be a great place for me to be. So I started attending. And it happened to be Unity Church. So the first 3 weeks I attended, I cried. And anybody that knew me back then knows that I really wasn't the type of person to express my emotions, especially publicly. But I felt such a deep connection and a sense of belonging there. And it was such a relief to have some place that I could go and feel that connection. And over the years, I started taking classes, and then I started teaching classes, And I really loved it when people got it. You know, when that light bulb goes off and you start seeing things differently and doing things differently. So that's how I received my first coaching certification. And that coaching, the Q coaching, was pretty unity centric. So after a while, and I found out that I really loved coaching, I went out looking for a more secular coaching certification. And that's how I found my second coaching certification. And then my third coaching certification is with Mind PT, which is a all neuroscience based. And we're going to be looking into that a little bit later. And then I also became a licensed Unity teacher. So I now have the great privilege and honor of helping people like you create extraordinary results. And I'm going to give you everything I can during this webinar. And by the end, some of you are going to want to take it deeper. So for you at the end of this workshop, I have an offer. For those of you who want a special opportunity to take this work and build your lives in a powerful way. And for those of you who stay until the end, I have a special gift worth $147. And I can see who's on the call, so I'll know if you're here to the end, and you'll receive an email from me. So I know that it's no accident that you're here today. If it wasn't for the pull of something greater seeking to emerge through you, you would not be here. And this coach, as I said, this is a combination of all three of my coaching certifications. So let's get started. You are in the right place if your job is unsatisfying or you feel as though your talents are being wasted. You're stressed about money or lack of time. You're feeling uninspired, unmotivated, stuck in a rut. And any of this is taking its toll on your health or your happiness. Or it could be that you just want 2018 to be your best year ever. So do you have any written goals for 2018? Yes, yet. If you do, just type in the chat box, goals, just so I know the difference between some of the other answers that we're asking. So do you want to move forward and make this your best year ever? The Talmud says that every blade of grass has an angel leaning over it saying, grow, grow, grow. And that blade of grass will press through cement, seeking the light. And it's the same power that is in work in you. And it's what drew you here today, that longing for that moreness. Life itself, seeking a freer, fuller, more expanded expression through you. The desire for more life is the most natural thing in the world. So how can we be like that blade of grass that pushes through the cement to see the light? One way we can do that is to become who we have come here to be. In this exercise, you're going to need a piece of paper, and if you have one available, that 3x5 card. So we're going to be doing an exercise called, a Werribee exercise called the Q card. So I'd like you to take out that piece of paper, and along the left-hand side, think about people that you admire. So along the left-hand side, we're going to write down the names of up to 7 people that we admire. And it could be somebody living, it could be a fictional character, somebody who's dead. It could be a superhero like Superman, Wonder Woman. It could be another type of fictional character. For example, Harry Potter made it on my list last year. Or it could be somebody like your imaginary friend when you were growing up. So just think about people that you admire. And along that left-hand column, write down up to 7 names of people that you admire. And it's up to 7. The first time I did this exercise, I had 3 names. So however many names you can come up with, just think about people that you admire. And write down up to 7 names in that left-hand column. Now, once you have those 7 names written down, next to it on the right, I'd like you to list up to 3 qualities or attributes that you admire in that person. It should be either a single word or a 2-word phrase, something easy like compassion, intelligence. The reason that Harry Potter made it on my list is because I love magic. So magic was next to Harry Potter's name, and also visionary I put next to Harry Potter. So just up to 3 attributes or qualities that you admire about that person next to those names. And again, it's up to 3. The first time I did this, I had 3 names and 1 quality each. So whatever you come up with as the reason that you admire that person, up to 3 qualities or attributes per person. Now I want to ask, is there any surprise as we're doing this? Was there a name that surprised you that made it to the list? And if so, just type it in the chat box if a name was a surprise to you. And again, we're going to have up to 3 qualities for each name on our list. So were there any attributes that showed up on your list that surprised you? And if there were, just write those in the chat. So what we're going to do next is we're going to look at those qualities and see if there are any that have been repeated, or if any of them could be combined into one all-encompassing word or short phrase. So what we're going to want to do is distill these attributes and these qualities down to up to 7 qualities or attributes. So just look through and see what qualities are duplicated or what could be combined into an overarching quality. And write those 7 qualities down, or just circle them and write those down at the bottom of the page. So you're going to want to have up to 7 qualities or attributes. And again, the first time I did this, I had 3 names with 1 attribute each. So I had 3 qualities on my cue card. So this is where the 3x5 card comes in. What you're going to want to do is take those up to 7 qualities and just list those on the 3x5 card, or you can just at a later date find a 3x5 card and do this. So you want to list those 7 qualities. Leave the top line blank for now. So just transfer those up to 7 qualities either on your paper in a list or on a 3x5 card if you happen to have one. And again, I would encourage you to, at some point, transfer these onto a 3x5 card because you're going to want to keep this with you. So once you have those qualities transferred to your 3x5 card, on the title line, you're going to want to type, "This is who I have come here to be." And this really is who you have come here to be, because anything that you can recognize in somebody else, you have in yourself. And you want to use these qualities whenever you run into situations where you need a little bit of extra help. You want to look at your cue card and say, what quality on my cue card would help me in this situation? So I want to give an example of how Christine used her cue card. Right after she took a workshop where we did our cue card, she experienced a challenge at work. So Christine was able to turn a challenge into feeling happy and proud and about the situation. And it changed the way she acted. It changed the outcome of the situation. And it made the whole situation different for her. And again, we want to remember that you can use your cue card in situations. If at any point you're in a situation that requires something, a different kind of reaction. Example, if you're challenged physically, you don't want to look at your cue card and say, what quality could I use? You want to get out of any dangerous situation. So the cue card is meant to be used for everyday occurrences that may have kept you from showing your best possible self. So you use your cue card, you look at it, you want to carry it with you and say, what quality can I use on my cue card to make this situation different? And that's the best way to use your cue card. And remember, if you could see this quality in somebody else, you have it in yourself. So let's keep moving along here and see how we can continue to make this the best year ever. So it has been said that the quality of our life is determined by the quality of the questions we ask. Most of us have been taught to ask questions that keep us thinking small. Like, how am I going to get to the end of the month and pay my bills? Well, we could be asking more empowering questions like, how can I travel to the south of France and make $10,000 doing that? And this example was presented to me by one of my mentors, Mary Morrissey, and she used this example over and over again a number of years in a row. And at one point, she realized something. And she was on a trip, and she said to her husband, Joe, where are we? And he said, yeah, well, we're in France. And she said, what am I doing here? He said, well, you're speaking. You're speaking, yeah. You're speaking in the south of France. And she was in the south of France, and she made $10,000 speaking. So if she had been stuck in that small question, like, how am I going to get to the end of the month and pay my bills? She never would have seen that opportunity to go to the south of France and speak. And that's what we're going to be doing here today. So how do you turn your dreams into reality? And it requires the work of defining. We want to know that most successful people on this planet have learned to use their mind in a particular way that allows them to skyrocket their results. So the problem is never the problem. The problem is always our thinking about the problem. And dream building starts with our thinking. We want to remember everything is created twice. First as a thought before it can become a thing. The chair that you're sitting in, the device you're using to view this webinar, the light, the walls, the clothes you're wearing, everything was first a thought in somebody's mind. And Wallace Wattles wrote some amazing books in the early 1900s, and he said that thinking is the hardest work in the world, and that's why most people don't do it. So what keeps us from living our dreams or living by default, having a let's just see what happens attitude versus design? One of the ways is our personal paradigms or the way we were raised. I'm not sure if you know how elephants are trained. When they're babies, they put this big, heavy chain on them and a big stake in the ground. And no matter how much the elephant pulls, that stake will not move. And over the years, they've been trained that whenever they feel that tug, they know they can't go in that direction. So once they've been trained, that chain is removed and just a piece of riverweed is put on their ankle. And they know that when they feel that tug, they can't go in that direction. And that's how their trainers direct them to go in certain directions. And this is what we might call, these are our paradigms, or the way we were raised. So how many of you have had things that you were told when you were younger that were something that your parents or the adults thought was in your own best interest, and it turned out to be limiting you, just like limiting the elephants from going where it wants to? It follows that pull of the riverweed on its ankle. So another way this happens is what some people call race consciousness or collective consciousness. And if we look at these Time magazine covers, this is what we're bombarded with every single day. And yet, if we look closely at them, we have the economy, the energy crisis, the war in the Middle East, smog, the big freeze. If you look closely at these magazine covers, they're all at least 30 years old. So think about it. We have been in the same conversation for at least 30 years. And James Allen was another amazing writer. And his book, As a Man Thinketh, he says, just as a gardener cultivates his plot, keeping it free from weeds and growing the flowers and fruits that he requires, so may man tend to the garden of his mind. So we want to be constantly planting seeds and pulling the weeds of our thoughts. And this is one of my clients who said that in the past, whenever anything would go wrong, she would question her thinking and she would have doubt about it. So she was able to pull the weeds of self-doubt and plant the weeds of her dream and a successful project. So are you ready? Are you ready for something bigger? Are you ready to use your thoughts to define your dreams? And this is also going to require a blank piece of paper. So when we're defining our dreams, the most important question to ask yourself is, what would I love? When you ask yourself, what would I love, you're on a different frequency and you see things differently. And you get out of the everyday circumstance. So you want to pay attention to your longings and your discontent. Sometimes your longings will speak louder and sometimes your discontent. And know that there's a you seeking to emerge through you. It's in seeking an ever freer, fuller, more expanded expression through you. Just like inside an acorn is an oak tree seeking full expression. Both our longings and our discontent inform our conscious mind. So you want to discover what will answer your longings and dissolve your discontent. And we think in pictures. So you want to draw as vivid a picture as you can and let your imagination go. And some people don't think they have an imagination. And for those people I say, think about your partner or loved one is 2 hours late and you have no way of getting a hold of them. Your imagination goes wild. So we want to state our dream as approach goals versus avoidance goals. For example, if I say, don't think about the Statue of Liberty. Don't think about her out in the harbor with her arm in the air. What are you thinking about? The Statue of Liberty. So we want to say things like live in financial abundance versus getting out of debt. Move with comfort and ease versus no more back pain. Enjoy living at my ideal weight versus losing weight. And you want to use the present tense. I am so happy and grateful now that. And you want to make it a 3-year vision to trick your ego into staying silent. If you say, well, this is what I want to do this year, your ego is going to come up with all the New Year's resolutions that you didn't keep, all the times that you failed, and it'll say it in such a way that you will think that it's really it's doing you a favor in the process. So we're going to do an experiment. in which we become more conscious of our dreams. So I invite you to close your eyes to eliminate any distractions and take a deep breath. And imagine that in your lap is a book. Every single day is a day in your life. There are lots of pages to the right and to the left. Every page on the left is written on. The right is all blank, white pages, and you have been given the power, you have been given the authority. Will these pages be written on by design or by default? This is your moment. So gazing from the highest point of view that you can, look upon the landscape of your current life. So I'm going to have you open your eyes, and we're going to do a little bit of an assessment first. We're going to look at the 4 or 5 main areas of your life and just rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. So if we look at your health and well-being, how are you with respect to your health and well-being? 1 means that, you don't sleep well, you have aches and pains, you can't really do what you want to do physically. You're always feeling like things just aren't working for you. You beat yourself up. So your health is a 1 if all of these are true. And it is a 5 if you have a vibrant, healthy life and your well-being is amazing. So on a scale of 1 to 5, just rate your health and well-being right now. And if we look at our love and relationships on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the best. 1 means you don't have any friends, and the friends you do have, you don't see very often. A 5 would be you have lots of friends, you have the love of your life, you have the best relationships with your relatives, and you just have a great time with other people. So again, rate your love and relationships on a scale of 1 to 5. And now let's look at our career or creative expression. And I say career or creative expression because some people get to the point where they no longer are working for a living, yet they do have lots of creative activities. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your career or creative expression? Again, with a 1 being the lowest and your 5 being the highest. And then let's look at time and money freedom. How much time and money do you have? Do you have enough money? We want to maybe rate these separately. How does your money, do you have enough money? Does your money last to the end of the month, or are you always running out of money? And what about time? Do you have enough time to do everything that you want? So on a scale of 1 to 5, rate your happiness with your money and the amount of time that you have. So for today's exercise, I'm just going to have you select one of these areas to create a vision in. So you might want to select the 1 or 2 areas where you had a low number. Anything below, say, a 3, you might want to work on these areas. So we're going to do the exercise of writing down your vision, and writing it physically as opposed to typing it on a computer really increases your chances of obtaining it. So just for a moment, let's look at our health. What is your image of health? How do you feel in your body? What activities do you engage in? What do you eat? What does your skin look like? What's your weight? What would you love? And when it comes to your relationships, are you longing to deepen an existing relationship? Have more harmony? Have a deep, loving relationship with that special someone. What would that relationship be like? What would you love? And when it comes to career or creative expression, what kind of work would you love to do in the world? How do you see yourself expressing your gifts? How can you make your job more fun? What would you love? And then with respect to time and money freedom, what would you love in terms of the flow of money in your life? What would you do with that money? Go on a trip you've always wanted? Have the home you've always wanted? Give in ways you've always wanted to give. And how do you spend your time? Is there enough to do what you want? What would you love? And if you're so inclined, I would encourage you to include your spirituality. I always include my spirituality because my faith is very important to me. So what does your spiritual life look like? What do you believe? How do you express your faith? Do you meditate? Do you pray? How do you share your spiritual gifts with the world? So just take one of these areas and on your blank piece of paper, write down what would you love in that area and start it off by saying, I am so happy and grateful now that. Put it all in the present tense and pretend it's 3 years from now. And this area of your life is everything that you ever wanted it to be. It's 3 years from now, everything has worked out. So what would you love in this area of your life? I'm going to give you 2 minutes to just jot down some things. And then after the webinar, I would encourage you to go back and look at the remaining areas. So we just want to take whatever area you had a 3 or below in, whichever one you choose. So just pick one of these areas and I'll give you 2 minutes to just write down whatever comes to you based on what would I love. Okay, so how did that feel? Just write a few, write down in the chat box how it felt to write down what you would love in that area of your life. So I love this quote by Goethe. Goethe says, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. So we want to next, you may ask yourself, how do I know my dream is right for me? Is it worthy of me? Is it the highest possibility for me? So we want to imaginally step into your dream and ask yourself these 5 questions. Does it give me more life? Does it align with my core values? Does it cause me to grow? Does it require power bigger than me? If you're not going to get to your dream's not big enough. Make it bigger. And the last one, is there good in it for others? And even if your dream is to have the love of your life, and you may think that's a selfish dream, think about it. Think about how it feels to see 2 people in love. That is the greatest thing in the world, is to see two people expressing their love for each other. So even if your dream is to find the love of your life, there is some good in it for others. So if you have answered yes to all 5 of these questions, then your vision is right for you. And at this point, we want to be careful who we share our dream with, because our dream is in its infancy, and one comment or even a raised eyebrow can cause us to question our dream at this point. So if we share our dream with anybody at all, you need to make sure it's somebody who will unconditionally support you no matter what you say. So our next step is to decide for our dream. And there was a young man who was in high school, and his father was a horse trainer. So every couple years, he traveled wherever his father had to go. So he attended different schools every few years. So he was finally in his senior year, and he had an assignment to write in as much detail as he can what he would love to be doing with his life when he was older for his career. So he really got into it. He wrote down in as much detail that he wanted to have a horse farm with a barn that held 6 horses and had a place for people to go riding so people could come and ride the horses. And he had a house that was big. There was a big great room where people could gather and have fun and express themselves. And he just wrote in passion of what he wanted to do with his life. And he turned it in, and when he received his paper back, there was a big red F on it and the word "see me." So he went to his teacher and said, what's going on? I don't get it. And the teacher said, with your history, you've never been in the same school for more than 2 years at a time. Do you really think you can achieve this? This is going to take a lot of money. This is going to take a lot of effort. This is going to take a lot of dedication. Do you really think you can do this? Now, if you take your paper home and rewrite it, I will reevaluate it and change your grade. So he went home and he talked to his father. He said, Dad, I don't know what to do. I really believe I can do this. And his father said to him, son, that's something you're going to have to decide for yourself. You're the only one that can make this decision. So the next day he went back to school and he handed the paper back as is. And he said to his teacher, you can keep my grade. I am going to keep my dream. And the fascinating thing about this is this gentleman was telling this story on a horse farm with a barn that held 6 horses in a house with a great room. This was the man who was that kid in high school. And he was talking to a group of high schoolers. He loved to have kids come out and teach them how to ride. And he said that a couple of months before that, his high school teacher came through with a group of kids. And he pulled him aside afterwards and he said, I am so glad you kept your dream. I killed a lot of dreams back then. I really didn't mean to. It's just I thought I was doing the best thing that I could. I was doing my best. So I am so glad that you kept your dream. So we want to remember that deciding for your dream requires a commitment and a willingness to get bigger than your circumstances and bigger than those around you. And it requires a willingness to live from a larger truth of who you are, from that greatness within us, from who we have come here to be, rather than from the circumstances of our life. So are you ready to commit to your dream? If you are, put your hand on your heart and say, yes. Type yes in the chat box. So we've defined our dream. We've tested it to make sure it's worthy of us. We've decided for our dream. Now, how do we actually step into our dream? One of my mentors, Mary Morrissey, said, you cannot get to your dream. You must come from it. In order to become from it, you must become it. So we want to put on our dream. Now we're going to talk about how to do that. So first, let's look at how some famous dream builders changed their circumstance and put on their dream and manifested into reality from a place even in the face of seeming failure. Oprah was fired by television executives and told that she was not fit for TV, but she rose up and kept going. Steven Spielberg was rejected from the USC Film School 3 times, but he rose up and kept going. J.K. Rowling was unemployed, divorced, raising a child, and her first novel, Harry Potter, was rejected by 12 publishing houses, but she rose up and kept going. Bruce Springsteen was fired from his first band and told by his manager that he couldn't sing, but he rose up and kept going. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't sure if it was the right time for him, and it wasn't sure if he was the one to do it, but he rose up and he kept going. And Henry Ford was a failure at 3 businesses before starting the Ford Motor Company at the age of 53. And he was a success because he rose up and kept going. And then there's you. You are a dream builder. And my hope for you is that you rise up and keep going. And Muhammad Ali says, champions aren't made in gyms. Champions are made from something they have deep inside them, a desire, a dream, a vision. So one way we can begin tuning into our vision is to tune into it with our whole body, to the frequency of our dream, and that is to 5-sensorize it. Use all 5 of your senses to put on your dream. What does it smell, sound, feel, look, and taste like? Allow yourself to feel it with your whole body. Then you allow yourself to put on that life. What does this person do, say, eat, wear? Who do you hang around with? What kind of conversations do you have? How does this person walk out the door in the morning? What does this person watch on television? What does this person read? Step into your vision and put on being that person and stay in that feeling of being that person. So just take a moment and step into your dream in that area that you selected. It's 3 years from now and everything worked out. Picture your life. 5-sensorize it. What is it like? So how does it feel being that person? How does it feel putting on your dream? And remember, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. So next, we want to look over what we have written in that area and make any last-minute adjustments. And remember, this is a work in progress. So we're going to want to look at it. We're going to want to review it. And we're going to want to update it every now and then. So I encourage you to go back and finish the 4 or 5 different areas. And then at the bottom, right now, just write whatever came to you. But I encourage you after this webinar is over to complete this in all areas. So at the bottom of the page, so that you have room to finish your dream in all 4 areas, just write this or something better. Because we want to hold our dream in an open hand so that it will become whatever is in the best interest of everybody concerned. If we said this is the way it is, then that would be it, and that would be what you get. But you want to make sure that you stay open to bigger, better things that may come to you. So there was a gentleman who wanted to cash a check. So he walked into a bank and he said to the teller, "Can you cash this check for me?" And the teller said, "Sure. Just sign your name on the back, give me the check, and I will give you the money." And the gentleman looked at him and said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. You want me to sign my name to the check and give it to you before you give me the money? And the teller said, yeah, that's bank policy. You sign your name, give me the check, I give you your money. And the gentleman said, well, what if you don't give me my money? What if I sign over the check and give it to you? You'll have my check and I won't have my money. And the teller said, that's bank policy. You can trust me that I will give you your money if you give me the signed check. So they go back and forth a few times, and the teller eventually says, I can't help you. If you want to go down the street and try another bank, feel free. So he went to the second bank, same thing. Third bank, same thing. Fourth bank, they're going back and forth. And finally, the teller reaches under the counter and pulls out a Nerf bat and bops him in the head and says, sign the check. So he signed the check, gives him the money, and goes back to the first bank and says, see, down the street, they gave me my money. But the teller said, yeah, but I bet even down the street you had to sign your name, right? And he said, yeah, but they explained it to me a little different than I did. So how is it, how many of us go to the teller of life and say, if you give me this, then I will put my name to it. If you provide the resources, then I will put my dedication to it. We want to sign our name to it now without knowing how. So at the bottom of the page, below this or something even better still, we're going to want to sign and date it, just so we know when we started this process. So how was that? Give me one word that can describe how you felt when you signed your name to your dream. This or something better still. This is who I am. This is who I am becoming. So as I promised in the beginning, I have a special offer for those of you who want to take their dream to the next level. Also, for anybody that stays till the end, I have a special gift worth $147. Between my speaking and coaching schedule, I've set aside a limited number of slots for vision discovery assessments. And this is a 30-minute phone conversation where we get clear assessment on exactly where you are, what you would love to create, and the next most important step to take to get you there, to move you in the direction of your dream. And I am offering these complimentary to everyone here today. And I only have 10 openings. So if you click the button and you're not one of the first 10, just shoot me an email and we'll see if we can fit you in. So imagine this is an experiment. 3 years come and go. What if these were the best 3 months? Sorry about that. 3 months come and go. What if these were the best 3 months of your life? If you make a 1-degree shift now, you'll be in a whole new place in 3 months. So how would it be for you to start 2018 with a clear path to your dream? And that's really what I'm offering. So if this is something that is of interest to you, sign up right now. Click that schedule time button and get on my calendar. And again, if you're not one of the first 10, just shoot me an email and we'll see what we can arrange. So how are you feeling about your dream so far? How is it being this person and thinking about living from this dream? Just type a word or two in the chat on how it feels to be this person. So how do we move forward with our dream? If we look at the cause of our results in these areas, so just like our vision exercise, there are 4 major domains in our life. And every one of us has results in these areas of our life. And these results you're getting in your life in these areas are a perfect reflection of your awareness in these areas. So let's expand our awareness together by studying the pattern that creates our results or what I call the results formula. So our thoughts, we start with our thoughts. Our thoughts cause our feelings, and you know this. When you think joyful thoughts, you feel happy. When you think scary thoughts, your heart beats faster. And when you think about the things that are left to do and how there's no time to do them, you feel stressed and overwhelmed. And when you think about what you've accomplished and what you're capable of, you feel more confident. Your thoughts affect your physiology. And by law, your feelings must be expressed in your actions. Try this out. Put on the physical posture and physical expression of someone who's depressed. Interesting, isn't it? We all know how to do that. Our shoulders go down, our heads go down, our face is expressionless or frowning. Now shake that off. Put on the body position of someone who is confident, happy, and just had a major success. Isn't that interesting? We know how to do that too. Our shoulders go back, our arms are up. And next, we want to know that our feelings are expressed into actions. When we feel confident, when we feel energized, we take different action than we do when we feel depressed, frustrated, or sad. And it's our actions that cause our results. Your thoughts cause your feelings cause your actions cause your results. And most likely, these results will reinforce your thoughts, which will reinforce your feelings, which will cause the same actions, same results. And it's a vicious cycle. And this is how we create paradigms. Our same thoughts we think over and over again create the same results over and over again. And your thoughts, this is really the law of cause and effect. And most people just don't get it. Most people look at their results. They look at their circumstances, their conditions, and they call those their causes. So if we change our thoughts, we'll change our feelings, which will create different actions and different results, which will create new thoughts, new feelings, new actions, and new results. So people that are living in their circumstances and calling it their causes, they're really too smart to call them their causes. They're actually calling them their becauses. I can't start a new career because I'm too old, or because I lose my benefits. I can't take time off because I don't have the money, or because I don't have the vacation time and my boss won't let me. I can't find the love of my life because I'm too young, not young enough, thin enough, attractive enough. I can't because. Where the true cause of our results is right here. And I'm pointing to my head right now. Your thoughts. Your results are caused by what you have been thinking. And this is the first cause. So if you want to know what you're thinking, look at your results, because your results never lie. So if you want to create new results in your life, you must first begin by looking at your thinking, where our thinking comes from and how our minds create a thought. Your mind is like a rubber band, and it's going to go back and pick up those old thoughts. Your paradigms are going to start talking. A paradigm is what I call thought habits. It's a standard perspective or set of ideas, a way of looking at something. And it's most likely a paradigm if you say because or yeah, but. So where do our paradigms come from? And this next little section is from Bob Proctor, who learned this information from a Dr. Thurman Fleet. And this is what he calls the stick man. So we have a conscious mind, and we have a subconscious mind, and then we have our body. And in our conscious mind is our thinking mind, our educated mind, and our intellect. Our subconscious mind is our emotional mind. In our conscious mind, we get to choose. We get to accept or reject anything that comes to us. And we get to originate from that conscious mind. Our subconscious, on the other hand, must accept. It cannot reject. And it cannot determine the difference between that which is real and what is imagined. And that's really why affirmations work. Your mind really doesn't know the difference between what happens and what you tell it. So let's take another look at things. This is you today. You have a conscious mind, a subconscious mind, and a body. And as you hear things from the radio or other people, TV, newspapers, it goes into your conscious mind. And at that point, you can use your reason. You can use your thinking. And you can determine what goes into your subconscious mind. And that's what creates our paradigm. Now let's look at it from another way. As an infant, you didn't have that conscious mind. You didn't have that reasoning capability yet. So everything that you saw, everything that you heard went right into your subconscious mind. You had no way to filter it. And this became your self-image. That's how your paradigms were created. And these paradigms are there. And some of them, we have no idea where they came from. So if we look at another way, we have all of this learning that we've experienced. And that's our results come from that. Filters through our paradigms, and that's how we get our results. So if we want to change our results, we have to create a new paradigm. Another way to look at this is through our levels of awareness. And this information I received from Mary Morrissey. So the results you're getting in life are an expression of your level of awareness. And the only way to improve your results is to increase your level of awareness. So you're always in a state of disintegration or creation. Everything is vibrating, therefore nothing can stand still. Your life is either moving in one direction or the other. And we govern that moment by moment by standing guard at the portal of our thinking, noticing what we're noticing. Everything in life is either in a state of expansion or contraction. And the challenge is the drift. When you start drifting away from your goals, letting things think us and dwelling on frequencies that are not in harmony with our vision. And part of us wants to expand and grow. And then there's a pull to entropy, a gravitational pull to contraction. And it's really a riptide. There's a part of you that is more than that. In the absence of partnering with that energy that is more than that, contraction will win. The higher side of you encourages you to create, and your old paradigm will try to hold you down. And this never goes away. It does get easier with practice, and it's more fun with practice. So because we've moved up the ladder of awareness, we can see it sooner. You have enough experience to know you can change your thought. You change your direction. You're reframing and reframing. And your goals will help you decide which side wins. And the goal is something you really want. You want it enough to build a fire under it every single day. Be willing to again and again say no to your paradigms. And yes, repeatedly on the side that wants to go forward. And at each new level of awareness, your conditions, your circumstances change. And as you adapt to the change, you're able to see the next level to a higher level, this next step to a higher level of life. In this place, we adapt to our vision in our mind and in the now. And the now is really the only place there is. So you're able to see a way. Your result can only be at the level of your awareness. The image you impress upon your subconscious mind controls your vibration, and your vibration controls what you attract. So let's look at how we can change that. There are two ways to change a paradigm, either with a strong emotional or physical impact or proactively. So once we change it proactively, we can take inspired action. So first we have our mentor. Our mentor provides support, inspiration, accountability, motivation, and guidance. I am a mentor and I have a mentor. Someone who has been there where I want to be and can turn around and reach out a hand and help pull me up. And then there is the structure with programs, content, consistency, repetition, community, installation of a new thinking pattern consistently over time that really creates the new paradigm, new ways of thinking. And I am in a structure. And then there's your vision, including clarity, emotion, relationship, and it's always evolving. Nothing gives you more confidence than having a crystal clear vision and a mentor to work on your vision with you. And it's your mentor who helps you work on your vision, helps you relate to your vision. Being in the structure helps you gain clarity of vision, and it's all to get tied together, and the structure is where you grow. And it's your mentor helps you stay inside the structure of support over time, and they all are related and work together. And inside is you. Inside this geometry of growth. And if you really want to grow, you want to put yourself in the middle of this triangle. The triangle of transformation is the three keys to creating the greatest results in the shortest period of time to help create your best year ever. And Alan Deutschman, in his book called Change or Die, said 9 out of 10 people don't change their lifestyle and behavior, even if their life depended on it, unless they had the support of a coach. So what are the steps to reframe your paradigm? The first thing you want to do is to notice what you're noticing. Is it expansive or is it contractive? If it's expansive, lean into it and see what else you can learn. And if it's contractive, reframe it. Ask, what can I do to change this? So you want to change your thoughts. And from those changed thoughts, you want to take action. And action is like the ground wire to electricity. Electricity without a ground wire won't work. So take that action once you change your thoughts, and then you change your outcome. So I'm going to give an example. Being in Buffalo, New York, I think it was 2 winters ago, there was a storm that some people called Snowember. I called it Snowmageddon. If you looked at a picture of downtown Buffalo looking south, you just saw this wall. I was behind that wall. This is a picture of my garage. There's 3 cars in my driveway underneath 5 feet of snow. And I was lucky enough that my neighbor had a bobcat. So he came through and dug out everybody's driveway. But getting from my front porch to where he had plowed took me an hour. And I came back in the house feeling defeated. And I was like, I plopped down on the couch and said, I can't do this. I can't dig 3 cars out from under 5 feet of snow. I just can't do it. And I actually texted everybody I knew and said, once they raise the driving ban, you have to come and help me. And then I was sitting there thinking about it. It's like, well, that's really not empowering. For Pete's sake, I'm a life coach and I'm going to sit here and woe is me. So I changed my thoughts and I came up with an idea. So I decided for 20 minutes at a time, my daughter and I would go out and shovel. So this is a picture of my daughter in her car, halfway out. So that's what we did. 20 minutes at a time, we took turns shoveling. And by the time the travel ban was lifted, that Saturday, both of our cars were out of the snow. So you can see that you notice what you're noticing. Is it empowering or disempowering? Change your thoughts, take action, and you have a whole new outcome. I have no idea how long I would have waited there for somebody to respond and come over and help shovel out my car. But, luckily I noticed what I was noticing and changed my thoughts. So things happen that we cannot control. We cannot change our circumstances, but we can change how we relate to those circumstances. This is another one of my clients, Cindy, and she said she had no idea how negative her thoughts were. And now that she's paying attention to her thoughts, she is able to hit the pause button, reframe her thoughts, and her life is moving in a direction she has always wanted it to. So this is just one example on top of my Snowmageddon, how we can look at what our thoughts are, change our thoughts, and change our outcome. So how do we shift our mindset to make it easier to stay connected to our dream? One of the ways is Mind PT. And Mind PT is a pre-made mind movie. It combines music, affirmations, and pictures. And watching it for 3 minutes can shift your mindset for up to 6 to 8 hours. So if we look at what a happy mindset can give you, 23% more energy, 31% more productive, 23% less stress, 39% healthier. So the good news is between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset, if you recognize some of those items under the fixed mindset, the good news is you can change your fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And Mind PT is just one of the ways that you can do it. Another thing that you can do is what Amy Cuddy called the power pose. If you look up Amy Cuddy, Cuddy, she has a great TEDx that explains this. And basically you stand with your feet shoulder width apart and then put your arms in some kind of open way, either on your hips or up in the air or something like that. And standing in this pose for 2 minutes can shift your physiology for up to 3 hours. So you don't have to do it if you're going into a situation where you need a little extra oomph. You don't have to do it right then. You can do it a little bit ahead. Go into the ladies' room, go into the men's room, go somewhere where you can do this without being obvious. And what this does is it raises your testosterone, which gives you confidence, and it lowers your cortisol, which is your stress hormone. So these are just a couple ways that you can use to change your way of doing things. So I love this quote by W.H. Murray. He said, "Until one is committed, there's hesitancy, the chance to draw back, concerning all acts of initiative and creation. The moment one definitely commits, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that never would have otherwise occurred." So how do we go from where we are to create the best results for 2018? You want to fuel your desire, increase your believing, and surround yourself with support. So how do we do each one of these? Fueling your fire, you want to live from your vision. If this is who I am, what would I do today? What would I do this week? What would I do this month? And you want to use your cue card. What quality on my cue card can I use in this situation? You want to use Mind PT. You want to use the power pose. And you want to find at least one thing to be grateful for. Gratitude is at the same vibration as abundance. So there's always something that you can find to be grateful for, even if it's just that you woke up this morning, that you got out of bed, that you did something. And then how do you increase your believing? It's just basically reframing your paradigm. You want to notice what you're noticing, change your thoughts, take action, and that will change your outcome. And then there is the support. We have to do the work ourselves, but we don't have to do it alone. In fact, we're not meant to do it alone. So we want to have partners in believing, people who believe in us when we have a hard time believing in ourselves. And we want to have a mentor, somebody who can reach out a hand and pull us up and help us achieve our goals. And we want to have a coach, someone who doesn't buy into our circumstances and can see beyond our circumstances. So we want to start where we are with what we have and ask yourself every day, what's one thing I can do today to lead me in the direction of my dream? So what would you do if you didn't believe it was impossible? Just think about that. Think about your vision. What would you do if you didn't think your vision was impossible? And here's another one of my clients who said that she has a whole lot of tools and self-knowledge and that she has great accomplishments and her life is turning around. And she said yes to her dreams and asked for support. So there's another great quote by Howard Thurman, who was Martin Luther King Jr.'s mentor. And he said, don't do what the world needs. Do what makes you come alive, because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. So I want to thank you for attending. It has been my joy to serve you. I love teaching those materials and breathing life into the dreams and holding a safe place for us to think bigger together. And I would love to support you in getting from where you are to where you would love to be. I know from years' experience in this field that when you leave this webinar, life happens. You get busy. And over the next year, statistically, 80% of the people in this webinar will be living the same version of the life you have now. However, some of you know you're ready to invest in your dream. And for those of you who are ready to accelerate your results and manifest your dream, click on that scheduled time button for a complimentary vision discovery assessment. I would love to support you in that way. I want to thank you again for coming. I feel privileged and honored to have spent this time with you. And to anybody that is still here, I can see who is still here, you will get an email from me with a code to receive 3 Mind PT sessions. And that is my gift for you for attending. So as you start your year, remember who you truly are. Remember that you have greatness in you. You know this is your moment. This is your time. You can do amazing things. Today is your day to live bravely, love boldly, and go about your dream. So thank you so much for attending. And again, anyone who is still here, you will receive an email from me with a code to receive 3 Mind PT sessions. And if you happen to be on the replay, just type in the comment field, still here, and I will get an email so I will know that you attended the entire workshop. So again, if you are interested in having a conversation with me, just hit that schedule time button and that will take you right to my calendar. So again, I want to thank you for attending, and I'm just going to hang out a little bit. For those of you who have any questions, just type them in the chat box. And thank you for attending.